The U.S. Vice President has made an unannounced trip to Afghanistan to meet the country's leaders and promote Washington's strategy. Mike Pence has said that the U.S. forces would stay in Afghanistan until victory against Taliban militants. In a reversal of his campaign call for a swift withdrawal of American forces from Afghanistan, U.S. President Donald Trump in August ordered an increase in the number of troops in the war-torn country. At least 15,000 U.S. soldiers are currently stationed in Afghanistan after the deployment of 3,800 troops to the country this fall. The Pentagon is due to send more troops to Afghanistan early next year to fight in what is the longest war in U.S. history. Joining us now to discuss this further is Jason Unruhe. He's a political commentator, and he joins us via Skype from Ontario. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Unruhe. Now, yet again, another U.S. president, another military buildup in Afghanistan. How do you see this playing out?
I think it's just going to be a continuation of what is already the longest war in U.S. history. The people of Afghanistan have a tremendous history of resisting invasion by empire, and it appears that with the U.S. invasion, it seems to be no exception. This war has dragged on for a very long time and has absolutely brutalized the people of Afghanistan and made them suffer one of the greatest tragedies that the modern world has ever faced. I think this is another political two-faced move by Donald Trump. He did campaign by saying that he wanted to end the war in Afghanistan, and I think once reaching office and seeing what it means to abandon the war, to abandon U.S. investments inside the country, that it was something that was just not palatable. So I'm not surprised that he would take this move. There's a big disconnect between what he said he was going to do in the campaign and what he does in person. What remains to be seen is how much of his base, how much of those who are his supporters will criticize him for this. But I don't imagine it'll be very much.
Well, I'd like to pick up on a term that you just used, Mr. Unruhe, about American interests. When it comes to Afghanistan, there have been those questions that have been raised over the years, whether U.S. military presence on Afghan soil has to do with fighting terrorism and the Taliban, or is it more about U.S. interests in the country?
Oh, there's a tremendous foreign interest in the country. Afghanistan stands on one of the largest untapped mineral resources in the entire world. I've heard estimates of to $2 or $3 trillion worth of rare earth minerals, and a whole bunches of different kinds of minerals, not just particularly one. This also explains why a lot of countries who normally don't go in for this kind of occupation, like Canada, are so eager to help out the United States in this regard, because Canada is a very big mining country and has a very poor human rights record when it comes to mining internationally. But it seems that everybody really wants to get their claws in on this, because there's a tremendous amount of wealth that is yet to be tapped from the country, and it is the primary driving force behind this war.
So then that would also mean that if you factor in that U.S. military presence is required to secure U.S. interests, specifically economic interests within Afghanistan, then the U.S. is to gain from instability in the country.
Oh, definitely. The longer this goes on, the worse it is for the Afghan people, and it justifies a continued U.S. presence inside the country. The more destabilized it is, the more the U.S. has a justification for sending more troops into the country under the pretext of trying to secure it, trying to save it, and trying to protect the people there, when that is certainly not the case.
And before I let you go, Mr. Unruhe, you said we're going to have to wait and see how Trump's voter base responds to this. But do you think that America has that appetite, not just Trump's voter base, but as a whole, for more military buildup in foreign countries?
I think that there seems to be a general trend away from that kind of spirit in the United States. I think a lot of people are becoming opposed to the idea of expanding U.S. military presence around the world. I think that there's a general dislike of that that's beginning to build. I don't think it's significant at this time, but I think that given more time, it could increase to something even greater. But right now, it seems something very politically palatable for the mainstream U.S. political discourse.
All right, let's leave it there for now. That's Jason Unruhe, political commentator, joining us via Skype from Ontario. Mr. Unruhe, it's always great having you with us here on Press TV.